Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, welcome to Prepper Talk Radio. Radio for the ready-minded.
Bless you.
Had to cough. I'm like, ooh, right at the end of that. Radio for the ready-minded. You guys are listening to K-Talk AM 1640. And as usual, this is Scott and Shane with the funnest show on the radio.
Well, that's maybe overgeneralizing, but okay.
Well, I mean, it's the best topic.
I think so.
Preparedness.
Absolutely. No question about that.
Pop on the mic here. I apologize. Preparedness, survival, thinking with your brain, and making logical steps to better prepare yourself in case of disaster.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, radio for the ready-minded.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely a mindset that takes getting used to.
It is.
Especially in our day and age now when, and I'm trying to figure out how to say this delicately, where a lot of people like to be taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And when it's really up to ourselves to take care of ourselves.
A lot of people think they have a right to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not your right.
They think that's what the government's role is. We're not getting this is another topic for today, so please don't call in.
Yeah, don't call in yet. We've got other topics we're going to jump into, but
yeah, they think it's somebody else's responsibility to take care of us. And I understand that when you're a child, right? You can lean on your parents that way. But my mindset has always been, since I turned, 12, 13, 14, whatever, 15, looking forward to get my driver's license and being independent. And I think my kids have been very much that way too. Yep. In that I want to move out, I want to get my driver's license, I want to be my own person, make my own decisions. And that's really what Radio for the Ready-Minded is for. Exactly. And shout out to my daughter and her friends who listen. They listen to the podcast, and I just found this out yesterday, so thanks for listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, they think we're funny.
Well, it's because we're crazy old guys, right? We're dads.
There we go.
And then we got lots of dad jokes.
They do like my dad jokes.
There you go.
I am constantly doing little dad-isms. Well,
not to change topics too bad, but thinking of what's going on in the world right now, thinking of dad jokes, I'm wondering how Progressive's faring with the whole hurricane flow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's like, on one hand, Flo's destroying things, but on the other hand, Flo's going to take care of things.
Okay, how's she taking care of things?
Well, because that's their character on their commercials is Flo.
Oh, I see. Okay.
See? Dad jokes.
There you go. Okay.
I got these for days.
I was slow.
But yeah, okay, so North Carolina, all our friends out on the East Coast, like, how are they doing? How are they? I mean, the nice thing is Florence has dropped to a level 1. The bad thing is it's stalled out, and now she's just dumping rain and wind. So
as I understand, a lot of people have evacuated the area. I haven't really been watching too closely what's going on out there, but and that's part of our topic today.
Yes.
Not to get into too prematurely into this, but we're talking about vehicles.
Utilizing your vehicle in an emergency.
When SHTF, and really not even that. For me, I'm an everyday preparedness guy.
Yep.
I'm not just preparing for SHTF for the end of the world as we know it.
I'm only a prepper on
disaster.
Sundays.
Exactly. I'm not just a prepper I'm not just a Sunday weekend prepper, right? I'm an everyday prepper. It's been my lifestyle for a lot of years. That's why I'm have the nickname kind of prepared guy.
Yeah.
And
that's why we like the term ready-minded more than we like the term preppers. Even though it's Prepper Talk Radio, we're evolving, and hopefully you're evolving too. You should be thinking about better ways to be smarter with what you have, to utilize the tools around you, tools that are in plain sight that maybe are just there that are ready to be used, ready to be repurposed.
And I think that's a perfect description for the automobile, for a car, for a truck, for an SUV, whatever you have. And so that's the topic we want to get into today, is especially, thinking about, of course, it is National Preparedness Month.
That it is.
We want to bring that out again for what it's worth. Our president and our administration came out saying, okay, we're going to declare this National Preparedness Month, September, from now on. So, I think that's a good thing. But
it's been this for you for a while.
Has it been? I thought it was Trump that actually came out and said, we're declaring September National Preparedness Month.
I wonder if he's making a new declaration, maybe? Because in the industry September is National Preparedness Month.
Okay.
And it's been that way for probably a good 6 years.
Okay, so maybe
probably longer than that, but that's kind of as long as I've been aware of it, because our good friends over at Emergency Essentials would start sending me stuff every September. It's Preparedness Month.
No, that's true. That's true. They have, and I did get their mailer just in the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
National Preparedness Month. And I think it's a great reminder. And I think, we tend to take our junk mail, right, and it goes right in the recycle bin for me for the most part.
My wife always knows to check before she chucks when it comes to emergency essentials.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. That's something that always catches my eye, and I set that aside. And I think, and I've been, I'm always shopping. I really am. I'm always out there looking and just seeing what's going on, what the prices are like, whether I need something or not. My needs never end, right? And I'm doing the air quotes. My needs never end. So I'm constantly looking, constantly monitoring and seeing what's going on out there, more locally than nationally.
Yep.
And I see right now is a really good time to get prepared.
Absolutely.
For the bargains, for the sales that are out there, because, like we've mentioned in other shows, because things have been so good. I mean, really, in the economy, prices have gone down. These
production
retail
hasn't
stores
slowed. Production
That's
stays
correct.
the same, and so every time there's no disasters for a while, it's great because you can get things at a discount. But in a week to 2 weeks, as the people start stockpiling up again because they've had a disaster, those areas that have been affected, like Hawaii, North Carolina, surrounding areas. I mean, there's 9 hurricanes or something like that crazy going on right now.
Yeah, brewing.
Yeah, all over the entire ocean. Like, it's like, hey, if one hasn't hit your area, please hold. We'll get one in right away.
It kind of looks like the movie Day After Tomorrow.
There you go.
One of my favorites. My wife hates watching those kind of disaster movies. She absolutely hates them.
Awesome.
Like Dante's Peak or Titanic. She just cannot watch those. And me, I just eat them up. I just love them. So, it's kind of what it looks like. You got all these storms spread out across the globe that who knows what they're going to do, right? But you have to be watching. You have to be looking. Your eyes have to be open, and you have to be paying attention and having at least the desire to be prepared, right?
And take advantage of the opportunity when the opportunity presents itself.
If you're
in a position that you
absolutely.
Can. It's like if you can't afford to prep, pick up a part-time job and spend some time at the library learning. Those are some great ways you can do it on the cheap. Do something to better off your situation and take care of your family.
Yeah, stop playing your video games. At least, slow down. Don't play as many video game hours.
We're not requiring you to go cold turkey on anything.
Exactly.
But stop smoking today, or change lifestyle, like a little bit. Adapt a little bit.
Yeah, since you're listening to the show, congratulations. That's great. But don't stop here. There's a lot of other people out there who honestly are better than we are. And they have a lot of great advice, and they're okay. Scott's kind of grimacing there.
You're awesome. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're awesome.
But I'm saying there's a lot of good.
Show.
Pick a topic and learn about it.
Yeah.
I did see an article the other day about how there's so much information at our fingertips, yet there are fewer people who are self-educating themselves. And there's a term, and I forget what that word is. Because it was new to me. I hadn't heard before, but basically self-educating, teaching themselves. And everything is so easily at our tips. We can download it from the Matrix, quickly. I mean, you can find some instructors who give you the meat and no fluff, and it just comes straight at you, right into your brain. And that's what I spend a lot of time when I'm driving learning those types of subjects. And
I think the challenge, though, is there's so much information. There's also a lot of disinformation. Not intentionally bad, but it's just not.
It's not good
correct.
enough. It's not entirely correct. And I do see that all too often, and I cringe and I change the channel.
And that's why we try to be more scrutinizing with what we bring to the table
for our guests and so forth.
Yeah.
And so there you have it. Spend some time educating yourself. Especially if you don't have the money, knowledge is power, and it can be the saving grace in an emergency and a disaster, not necessarily everything, the gear that you have.
Exactly.
Which is expensive.
So with that, let's
talk about gear.
Let's jump into our cars.
Okay.
Hop in, close the door, clunk, clunk, right? We're in. Now when you think
hurricane's coming, let's get out of here.
Something's going on. How is your vehicle going to help you? Now, obviously, the fastest way out of town is to drive, right? Unless you've got a plane and you can fly or whatever, but you can use that vehicle as well. But we're talking mostly your four-wheeled vehicles, maybe your motorcycle with some compartments on the sides, but primarily your car, your truck, your SUV. Like, we're big fans of the medium size and smaller size SUV or crossovers.
Basically the show's about utilizing your vehicle in emergency, but also using it every day to be prepared for anything that may come your way.
Yes.
And at any particular moment. And then, so prepping your vehicle for SHTF.
Yes.
And SHTF can be, it doesn't have to be.
Could be a flat
big.
tire.
Could be anything.
Exactly. It doesn't. It's the disruptions.
Exactly. A flat tire in a particular area could be life-threatening. Could be a very dangerous situation.
On a long road trip, far from towns, running out of gas.
Yep. Middle of the night, late
a breakdown.
Night.
There's so many different things, and no energy for your phone.
And I don't mean to place worries in your mind. Hopefully, as you're driving, you have confidence in your vehicle. You're not worried about things breaking down.
Because you're taking care of it.
Because you're taking care of it. Some of us have older vehicles. I've got 270,000 miles on the 4Runner now.
Lightweight.
For some people, that's definitely lightweight. But there are things I know. I know my vehicle. 316?
That's what I've got.
On your 4Runner?
Yeah.
See, we love 4Runners. So that's the platform that I prefer. I'm absolutely addicted. But I keep thinking bigger. I can carry more stuff. But we'll talk about that. We'll
jump into that in the second segment.
If you're looking to select a vehicle, it makes more sense to me to go bigger. I mean, yes, you lose fuel economy, and I do drive a lot, and
but you also
pay that price.
You also increase the fuel tank size when you get larger. I like the medium size. Like my 4Runner's great.
4Runners,
I'm really liking Subaru, like the Crosstrek and the Outback, for perfect daily driver, perfect in a pinch to get where you need to go. They don't have big tanks, but they're very fuel efficient.
Yeah, let's go ahead and into vehicle selection, and then we got a break in about a minute and a half here. So,
yeah.
But all-wheel drive obviously is where we're leaning with this.
All-wheel drive,
the 4Runner, the Subaru.
Front-wheel drive is if you can't get all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, get front-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive, you're going to be slipping and sliding.
If you're only rear-wheel drive, that in winter and in loose soil is going to be very problematic. You can put chains on it. You can properly weigh it, put your weight back there. It'll make a big difference. But yes, having front-wheel drive, getting through snow, getting through ice is going to be far better. And of course, all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and there is a difference between the two. I honestly won't buy anything for myself or my wife or my kids from here on out that isn't
have
all-wheel drive. Whether it be a Subaru or a Toyota, like a RAV4 or something like that. And then the sport utility mindset, being able to sleep in a vehicle, and we'll talk about that some more too. But being able to fold down the seats, have a place that you can sleep in. What a cooler platform, or what an awesome prep that you can always have with you, because I spend, honestly, probably more time in my car, or as much time in my vehicle as I do at home, in my home office, because of my job.
You're an outside sales guy.
Yeah.
So you travel a lot, doing real estate, and also now I'm out of real estate, now I do rideshare. And it's fun. I get to meet a lot of cool people, but I've always got preparedness in my car. I can always utilize it as a shelter. The SUV line is great because you should be able to either move, flatten the seats out, roll, lay them all down, or remove the seats and have a bed. I can take the back seats out of my Sequoia and throw them in the front seat, and then roll the middle seats forward, and I can sleep three people back there, cozy. Throw a bedroll down there.
But it's doable. It's better than sleeping on the ground or having to put a tent up,
or having to be
in bad weather,
exposed
or whatever.
in bad weather.
Yeah, and also much safer inside of a vehicle, and rather than on the ground in a tent. So
absolutely, and I think there's some advantages when it comes to having a vehicle a little bit larger, but not too large. You start getting in. I used to have a big, huge Dodge Ram 2500 lifted. I mean, you couldn't go places. Parking was harder. Branches, I'd hit branches
parking
on
garages,
trees all the time. And so making sure that it's both mobile, agile, but can also do what you need it to do. And that's why I think we go back to the SUV so much and certain crossovers.
Or crossover sport utility.
Because they have the adaptability, right? And you've got the space where you can say, okay, I'm going to put my first aid kit in here. I'm going to put some backup water.
And leave it in there. You have enough
tools in there.
Enough space where you can you don't have to take it out to accommodate whatever you're going to do. Oh, there's our music. A little late.
That's it. It's finally coming in. Well, hey, guys, stay tuned. We're going to be talking more about this after the break. You're listening to Prepper Talk Radio here at K-Talk, AM 1640. We'll be right back with you. I could be spinning at a concert right now and just having a lot of fun. But instead, we're going to talk about prepping.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, that music is Dead Mouse. And it is a trance, kind of a dance music.
But it's perfectly fitting to have something called Dead Mouse on a preparedness show.
There you go.
Because in the In the case of emergency, you can kill a mouse and eat it.
I'm probably not going to do that.
Few calories, but it's doable.
Some people think that us preppers were kind of crazy. We're off our rocker a little bit. But I'm just not going to eat a mouse. I'm not going to eat mice. I
don't know. I watched this.
That's
show
why I'm prepared,
so
I don't have to eat mice, right?
Yeah, that's why I got a food store. Got a big pantry. As a kid, I watched this show, and the guy, I don't remember what it was called. My dad would rent these weird movies, and we'd watch them. And this guy is like running with, like, not buffalo, but like deer or elk or something weird.
Uh-huh.
But he's living out in the woods for this research project, and his tent gets infested with mice, and so he's like capturing and eating them.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but I'm like,
that just sparked a childhood memory.
I just remember him sitting there eating a mouse.
I remember that
in his stew, looking at a mouse across, and the mouse looking at him like,
I remember that.
You're eating my brother, dude. And he's just like, I don't care.
Okay, maybe I will eat a mouse.
If you're in that situation, you gotta have do what you can.
Pick them up and disinfect them.
But vehicles can be such an amazing tool. And
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on vehicles. We've got so much to cover here.
Is like the vehicle and the spectrum.
No, it is. But I mean, in selecting a vehicle, I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time on talking about selecting a vehicle. But as we kind of talked about before the break, is something all-wheel drive, and I think what it needs to come down to is, okay, what are your plans? Where are you going? Where do you have to go? Where do you live? I mean, if you live in Florida, you probably never need a four-wheel drive, right?
You need to live in Florida.
I need to live. Okay.
You'll learn that there are places you absolutely need four-wheel drive.
Okay.
As soon as it starts raining, everything gets slushy
slippery
and muddy and slippy, and so you need to be able to get through and out of those places.
Mm-hmm.
So hurricane season, yeah, absolutely.
So all-wheel drive, regardless.
Not necessarily, but like having opportunity to have a four-wheel drive, I would always choose that over not.
And I think that's one of the reasons why there are so many Suburbans in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
You can sleep the entire family in the Suburban.
Mm-hmm.
Got all-wheel drive. You can tow a big trailer, and it gets terrible gas mileage.
Yep. That's why we went with the Sequoia.
Mm-hmm.
It gets less terrible gas mileage by a
little bit less, and a lot more reliable.
A lot more reliable.
Again, being a Toyota.
So, but when it comes to like your vehicle, it's more important to make sure you've got the things to support having that, right? You get the vehicle. Do you have enough gas in the tank at all times? Are you ever letting it go below a half a tank, a quarter a tank, an eighth of a tank? Like, really, are you going to gamble all the time? Like, I like to stay at above half a tank, and I like to have gas at home that I rotate through, so that I've always got a little bit of a backup. So in case of emergency.
So here's another aspect, I guess, as well, of the vehicle, depending on what you want to do, how prepped you want to be. So for me, for example, I have the 4Runner, and on the roof I have gas and water.
Yes.
On a rooftop rack, and you can't necessarily do that.
Are those the Rotopack?
Yes, the Rotopack is the brand
super slim
of the tanks. Super slim, low profile. I don't hear any wind noise from them.
Yeah, it doesn't really
They're
give any drag.
2.5 gallons each, so it's not a whole lot of fuel. I can always add more. But because of what I wanted to meet my goals, you have to have a certain vehicle that's going to accommodate those goals, right?
Right.
So some vehicles you can't modify. They don't have aftermarket things to, like roof racks and such, to put on top of some of these vehicles, to be able to carry gas or a rooftop tent or whatever it might be on that vehicle. So you kind of need to work backwards. What's your goal? What do you want to do? And then let that help you select your vehicle. For me, obviously, very important. And I've come down to Toyota is all I'm buying. And unless I need to go full size, I may not go Tundra. I might go Dodge.
Right.
And ultimately, my long goal is, yes, we would like to have a large travel trailer to help us with bugging out, and we would need a full-size vehicle to do that.
Or strategic relocating, as I like to call it.
Strategically relocate with a large trailer. So those are the kind of things you need to take into account when you purchase a vehicle. For me, the 4Runner is ideal for my everyday driving. It's ideal for what I love to do, going off-road, and it carries the entire family with me. So for me, that's the ideal platform.
Right.
And obviously, it's not ideal for everyone else.
Right.
So it's a very personal choice. It's
so it goes down
personality
to your needs,
and such too.
Right? But I like what you said, building the plan backwards. Where am I going? What am I needing to do? And then building your plan backwards to say, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this to get there. And what are my checkpoints along the way? what do I need it for? And for me, like most of the time I'm driving my 4Runner, and if I'm not driving that, I'm driving the Sequoia, but each of them I've got the daily drive stuff always in there. I've always got to get home back, right? So that I can get home to my family. My wife and my daughter are my priority. I've always got substantial trauma aid, first aid kits. Not just the little, hey, let's go to the big bulk store and buy something that's 90% Band-Aids and 10% antiseptic that goes bad, right? I've got substantial stuff. Survival Medical, AMP3, like I've even got my medic. I mean, I've got substantial stuff. I've always got water. I've always got tools.
And keep in mind that once you load up a vehicle with extra weight, it's going to affect the performance and going to affect the gas mileage. So choosing that vehicle is... Let me give you an example. Like, again, going back to being redundant, going back to the 4Runner, because I have the V8, has good torque, I don't lose any gas mileage because I loaded up with all this extra weight. Whereas in a small 4-cylinder vehicle, you add additional weight to it. And I've even seen, some I don't know if it's government agencies or whatever, say, you know what, don't carry unnecessary stuff in your trunk because you're going to get worse gas mileage by adding the extra weight to your vehicle. Yeah, they're absolutely right.
Yeah,
but then you're unprepared. And for me, it's worth paying the extra gas money to have that extra confidence carrying that gear with me.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason I like the 4Runner or most SUV platforms with a larger engine. Yes, you're going to sacrifice the fuel economy, but you can carry more stuff with you and not lose as much fuel economy, if any, have any noticeable loss in fuel economy,
right,
carrying all that extra stuff, if that makes sense.
Well,
right?
The other part is picking what you're carrying. Like if you're just daily driving versus if it's your response type vehicle, right? For example, mine are primarily daily driving. In case of emergency, break glass and whatever, I go home, I get my wife and kid. If we need to relocate, if there's a fire on the hill type of thing and we need to move, we've got everything organized at home with our appropriate documents and everything else. We can throw it in the back of the SUV, or if we've got more time, then we can grab other stuff and throw it in the back of the travel trailer that we have. Really, it's not a travel trailer, just a utility trailer, and hook that up, and it's always ready to go.
Yep.
It's not hard. We've numbered everything. We've organized everything. And we've been thoughtful about what goes in an emergency, and put those in the priority in a place where we can get them out quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a similar plan. We do also have a utility trailer. We use it every day. It's something we use all the time, and not just for an emergency.
Right.
But it in a bug out situation, like if there's a fire on the hill, we've got to get out. That trailer can be hooked up quickly, and because you and I have SUVs, we can pull those trailers easily, not losing much fuel economy, so increasing the range of the vehicle, the distance you can get away. We can also carry spare fuel, which you keep at home in that trailer safely, right? And have, like you say, you have your bins ready. I have bins ready where we can throw them in the trailer, throw them in the back of the vehicle. Now, when I say I carry a lot of stuff in my vehicle, Scott's seen it, I've got a lot of stuff in there.
You've got a ton of stuff, more than most, because you're a gear and tool aficionado anyways.
And I go off-road, so I need recovery gear. I need gear to air down my tires, air them back up, and those kinds of things, as well as my work supplies and such in there. But having a plan and having those supplies staged, to where you can literally, within 1 or 2 minutes, have those in your vehicle and escape.
Yes.
In an emergency is definitely part of this plan, this whole utilizing your vehicle in an emergency. It is really an amazing tool, and I think a lot of people don't consider that when they're going to buy a vehicle. They really don't I like this color, I like this is fun to drive, but it's small. And there's a lot of different
aspects.
We're,
as a society, we're a consuming society, right? We're a consumer-driven society. It's about what's cool. What am I going to get the most Instagram?
It's high tech. It's got all the new high tech stuff in there. And
who's going to be most impressed with what I'm buying? Whereas we want you to think of it, gray man. What's going to bring the least amount of attention to me?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And another aspect I think is, like you say, the gray man. Maybe I stand out a little bit with the 4Runner, right? Because I've got a lift on, I got a roof rack, I got some antennas, communications and such on there, the winch on the front. Whereas if you have a very subtle SUV, you're going to pretty much go unnoticed and undetected that you're a prepper. You've got all kinds of gear and guns, whatever.
But you're not like a bright,
vehicle.
bold color. You're not like, and that's what we're talking about. It's like, don't go with the big, bright colors. Don't go with
there you go. Okay.
the super standout stuff. Like today, perfect example. I'm driving through Salt Lake City. I don't even know what I want to call him. This person flies by me going probably 75 in a 35 in a Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah.
And two things hit my mind. Stupid idiot. Because with a car that nice, you don't want to wreck it, first of all. But also, what's the purpose of that vehicle? It's a race vehicle.
Go fast.
Don't go fast
people,
on the side streets. Go to the track. What could you have done with all the money you spent on that car to better prepare your family? Because when an emergency comes, you're not going to be able to take care of things.
And hopefully that person has so much money that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, more money than brains.
Exactly.
But let's. I mean, we're about out of time for the segment. We got about 5 minutes in the end of the segment. Let's get off the vehicle so much and start talking about what we can do with the vehicle.
Okay.
Right. A decent vehicle, a good engine. You can get an inverter and you can power things. Like if you're in a powerless situation, say the power grid goes down and you've got gas and you've got a couple backup gallons here and there around the house, right? You can get an inverter for your car and you can keep charge cycling your belongings in your house.
Yeah, it's
right?
an inverter that basically takes your battery power, DC power, and turns it into AC power. That you could plug your fridge into. You plug a lot of different devices in. So essentially, your gas engine in your car is a generator.
Yes,
is what it really is. And by adding an inverter to it, you can go from 100 watts to 5,000 watts, or somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between, most likely.
You can go pure sine wave to run essential electronics, or just something more basic to run a refrigerator. And open your garage door, turn your car on, exhaust it out there. It's nice and quiet. Hardly anybody hears that your car is running in your garage or even out front because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
And
or if you've got a side door, just open the side door. Get some airflow out of there and keep the main door closed on the house. But you run an electrical cord into the house and run the essentials.
And you can always get some flexible pipe.
Yes.
You can hook it up to your exhaust and run it out a window or a door. And people spend a lot of money on generators, and a generator you have to maintain, you have to cycle, you have to change the oil, you got to change the plugs, need to exercise it every 3-4 months.
Yep.
And
your car, you're already doing that.
Exactly.
As long as you're maintaining it, you're already doing that.
And just think, it's a perfectly safe place to store fuel. That's the hardest thing is, to try and store a lot of fuel at home. That can be dangerous and it's difficult. You still got to circulate it once a year, or more often you got to put stabilizer in it. But if you're constantly keeping your tank full, and I highly recommend every weekend before you pull in, make sure your tank is full. On that Friday or Saturday before the weekend, make sure you have a full tank over the weekend, because you never know what can happen.
I like always filling up midweek and towards the weekend. Always keeping that half tank right at a minimum. When I go drive ride share in the weekends, I'll always fill up at the end of the night again.
So you're ready in the morning. Yeah, absolutely.
Just because
full tank at the night as well. Yeah.
And the nice thing is I can cash out that minute, and money's in my account in 15 minutes, so I've got the money there. But if the digital goes down, I've always got cash.
Well, yeah, then that's a great, I think, mindset as well, is also before the weekend. I make sure my shelves are stocked up. I've got milk in the fridge, I got butter, that if something were to happen, and, and my family thinks I'm a little... I try not to accentuate this too much. That's going to stock up for the apocalypse that may happen this weekend, right? But I make sure that everything's full before the weekend comes around, right?
And it's just taking a little extra precaution. I mean, it only takes 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
You're not doing much different. And the other thing is, like, if you go shopping on a Saturday for everything, you're fighting hordes of crowds anyways. Yeah. It's busier. Everything, the stress levels go up. You want as simple and as high level of enjoying life as possible.
And I think that's the one of the whole reasons to always be prepared is if there's an emergency, just like this hurricane, shelves are bare. very quickly. And you don't want to be there having to fight with the crowds at that point.
Or fight with the gas station to try to get in line to hopefully have gas by the time you get there.
Exactly. You're already full. You're emotionally full. You got a little bit of gas on your roof. You got gas at home. You say, I'm avoiding the line, and I'm going straight home to where I know I'm safe with my family, and I'm going to wait this out.
Yeah. Or if you need to relocate, you can get out of town and skip the lines, and you're ready to go at a moment's notice. I think there's a lot of value in that, and I think oftentimes we don't take that extra time. I mean, I hadn't in certain times in my life where I was just like, it's no big deal. Yep. And then you got to go somewhere, and you're like, oh, man, what am I going to do?
So, we're almost at the end of this segment here. When we come back, let's talk more about what's the kind of stuff we should keep in our cars.
Yes.
Maybe get a little more detail on those types of things and try and bring up the unique aspects of what a vehicle can provide in addition to shelter.
How we can use it.
And the gas.
How we can repurpose it.
Yeah. Okay.
What we should be carrying and what we can carry, I think, are the kind of the 4 areas that we're going to be going into.
Cool.
And obviously, if you guys want to call in during the next segment, feel free to. We'd love to hear your input. Number here is 801-254-1640, just like our call numbers. So K-Talk, AM 1640. The phone number is 801-254-1640. This is Prepper Talk Radio. This is radio for the ready-minded. The goal for us is for you to get better prepared just by listening to us.
Just by listening, you're going to be better prepared.
Inspiring, right?
Yep,
we want to help
absolutely.
encourage you to do something to take better care of yourself, your family, your loved ones, your friends, because that's what this is all about. It's about community. So stick with us. Take a listen to these sponsors. We'll be back right after this break. Well, welcome back to Prepper Talk Radio. This is our final segment for today. Radio for the Ready-Minded. Remember, this is National Preparedness Month, and we will not be here next week. Prepare yourself for a rerun. The station's actually in the process of moving to our new location. We're going to have a slightly better digital footprint. We're going to go to fiber optics. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And we'll have windows in the studio.
Yeah, we can see the world.
So we can see the weather.
It'll be fantastic.
And report on the weather as we go.
Well, today we're talking about vehicle preparedness, right? We've talked about vehicles, types of vehicles, but now we want to focus more about what to have in hand, on hand in the vehicle, right? Things that you can repurpose your vehicle for, uses of your vehicle. Like, number one, it's a great shelter, right? In winter conditions, you can have a blanket in the back. It'll hold in more heat. It's not the best, but it's better than being outside, right?
Much better than, being in a tent.
Yeah, you're off the ground. You're keeping some heat in. You're keeping, the big thing is the wind off you, right? That wind chill factor is real, and it can get really, really cold when the wind's blowing on you all night.
Yeah, we talked about using your engine, your gas engine, as a generator to power your appliances in your home, which you can if you have an inverter. That inverter can be connected directly to the battery. If it's smaller, you can use your 12-volt outlets inside your vehicle. Some vehicles have inverters built in. It's getting more and more popular.
We've got one in the middle row.
Yeah. But you can get big inverters. I'm talking 4,000 or 5,000 watt inverters. Mount them permanently in your vehicle and run extension cords from your vehicle to your home. And there's some modifications, things you got to do when they get larger like that. Maybe you even need to have double batteries in your vehicle, which you can do. Adding double batteries in parallel. I think that's right, in parallel, or is it series? In series. So you keep the same 12 volt. There's so many modifications you can do for that. I think another important aspect is, of course, communications.
Yep.
Especially in emergency, communications are extremely important. And especially people evacuating for the hurricane, they need to know where things are happening, where they need to go. And we talk about ham radio all the time and different communications, which
radio,
we can get into.
CB radio. I mean, there's so many types of radio you can put in your vehicle. Let's take a caller. Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You are on the air. What's your name?
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks for joining us today. You got a comment for us?
Hey, I just want to, just a precautionary measurement. When you got your Dodge truck hooked up to your Frigidaire, and then you decide to take off down the highway, don't forget to unplug the Frigidaire.
That's
great point.
It's the same as going to the gas station and not taking the gas.
Driving off for that.
Yeah, not taking the hose out of your car.
Maybe do a little less damage, though.
But that also gives you, that's a great point also, because like you always want to check your surroundings, always want to be aware of what's going on, what you can and can't do.
Hey, can I say one more thing?
Of course, absolutely.
So the show you was referring to is called Never Cry Wolf. They weren't eating eating caribou. And that's an actual...
I remember that now, yeah.
Actual study. That's a true life story.
True story.
That's a fantastic show.
And the other thing you was trying to figure out was, you said you was self-taught. You couldn't figure out the word for that. The word for that is autodidactic.
Yes, that's the word.
Man, Mike,
would you call in more often, please?
I'll keep you guys straight as best I can.
We appreciate it. We could use all the help we can get.
Yeah, no problem. That's the least I could do. Thank you.
All right,
hey, thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Dude, Mike's a stud. That was awesome.
No, I remember that show vividly now.
Yeah.
Never Cry Wolf. What a fantastic show. I'm gonna watch that.
As soon as he said caribou, I'm like, that's what they were. And I'm like,
that's right.
Yeah,
that
awesome.
Okay, awesome. Where were we? Okay,
we're
so we're talking about don't drive
radios.
down the road don't forget to unplug.
Yeah, don't forget to unplug.
Before you
but,
take off.
Radios, communications.
Yes, communication. You've got your own power station right there. You know, for communication, especially with like ham radio. You can have shortwave in there where you have your 2-meter 440, 70 centimeter. Those are the local channels that most amateurs work on. But you can also get high frequency rigs for your rig.
Yeah, you go.
And have large antennas attached to it. You've seen these guys driving down the road, right? These huge antennas on the side of their vehicle for whatever reason, and where you can go high frequency and reach literally hundreds and hundreds of miles, or even thousands of miles.
That's what's being used. That and like long range. Oh my gosh! Radios on the ocean, water.
Just marine.
Marine
radio.
It's
just different frequencies,
different frequencies, right? Mm-hmm. In the disasters that are going on with hurricanes and things like that, like that's what they're using is ham and
you can
marine
listen
radios.
in if you have the right radios. You can listen into these frequencies.
To both.
You can't necessarily transmit on those,
correct?
But you can listen
Except
in.
in case of emergency, you can.
Well, some radios are not there. You would have to break what's called break the radio in order to transmit on those frequencies. The radios don't allow you to broadcast on certain frequencies.
Correct. I was just thinking if you have a broadcast ability, like
right?
You can break the rule.
Right. Exactly.
In an emergency.
And so, communications. Obviously, you plug your phone in there. It's easy to charge. You all know about that.
Yep.
You've got your CBs. CB is a great short distance communication device between family, within a city.
And there are great apps for your phone that turn your phone into a two-way radio.
That's true.
So you can have a short wave
little devices you plug into.
Yeah.
And there's also GMRS. I think I've seen that.
Yep. GMRS.
GMRS, which is like your little two-way radios, little toys almost you play with.
Most of them are like little Motorola's.
Yeah, exactly.
You
can also buy those for your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They have small base stations that kind of look like a CB, but they're GMRS, and they have them up to 15 watts. So most handhelds are up to 5 watts. You can get 15-watt little base stations with a magnetic antenna mount on your roof. What a great way to communicate within a fairly small radius is the GMRS.
And if there are no other, electrical interferences, your range
it's
is
radio
cleaner.
to radio.
Yeah.
There's no towers needed. So
Absolutely.
What a great base station for your communication is your vehicle.
Yep.
Mount your antennas on it. You can drive it to a higher location to get better reception. Anyway, fantastic.
Well, that leads me to the next thing: maps. Road atlas.
Yes.
Like if you can have all 50 states, get all 50 states.
So not just a GPS, right? I mean,
I'm talking paper, right?
Yep.
I'm talking physical. Having a compass, a good working compass, not just the compass in your car, the digital one, because that doesn't give you a whole lot of help, but being able to triangulate your location in case you get lost, being able to use the map routes to figure out a way to get to where you need to go when nothing else is working. Because if GPS is down, hey, guess what? You're going to be needing those road atlases. Having those, I have in my car, in the 4Runner, I have a state atlas, and I also have a topographical map for the Wasatch Front. So I'm okay finding where I'm going and doing what I need to do.
And these atlases are like 30, 40 pages thick with full-size 11 by 17 sheets where they're fairly detailed maps. And so I would add to that, take this and highlight your escape routes. If you need to bug out,
your evacuation routes,
and make that plan in advance. You have your primary, your alternate, and your
tertiary,
your emergency plan. Yeah. So your 3 different routes, A, B, C, maybe D or E, of getting out.
Well, and you may have different routes for different types of emergencies.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's a natural disaster like a fire, you'll have an evacuation plan for that, depending on where you can relocate to. If you're bugging out, strategic relocation permanently, you might be going somewhere else that you may have 3 or 4 routes to get to. If there's only one route to get there, you're going to be kind of sunk if that route gets clogged.
And I think that's also an advantage to having an SUV or 4-wheel drive with higher clearance, a sport utility or a crossover, is you can then look towards using it off-road, looking for those less traveled, bumpier roads that may be impassable to a regular car.
Which gives you a fun thing to do on weekends.
Exactly.
To go find new routes.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why you do what you do.
That's one of the reasons, absolutely. I love it.
I mean, you've got pretty,
a nice
iconic suspension,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, one of the ideas behind the 4Runner, we call it the 4Runner Evader, and I think this definitely needs some attention before we end here, is that in choosing a vehicle, it's, I'd like to be the gray man. You'd like to go quick and quiet, unnoticed, and not create a lot of attention. So when you're going through a dangerous situation, you can do it quietly and quickly and not have to slow down. And so that's why I have some nicer suspension on there. But we got a call.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and
take
this
the call.
call.
Hey, thanks for calling K-Talk. You are on the air. What's your name?
Beverly.
Beverly, thanks for calling in. What have you got for us?
You were talking about having things in your car. One thing I've been wanting to do and haven't done but want to, and that is to have a thumb drive with copies of important documents that could be printed. That would be really necessary, especially, I wonder how many people that have been, where their homes have been flooded, how many have to struggle to get, regroup any kind of documentation about anything.
Yeah, take pictures of your home and all your possessions, for your insurance purposes. Put them on that drive and have it with you. Absolutely.
Then
yeah, titles to vehicles and homes or property
marriage
or
licenses,
tax,
all that kind of stuff.
all kinds of things. So
and certain personal identification and your taxes. Some of those, it's good to have a paper copy as well, in case there's an electrical issue where you can't get to a computer.
Or you have your binder.
Have a binder as well, or a good Ziploc bag that you can throw a bunch of papers in. Just keep that under the seat in the car.
If a person were to create a binder with all the important things and then do the scanning and get it on a thumb drive, that would probably be a good way to go.
You can print it on waterproof paper as well.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So now you know what your assignment is for the weekend.
I've had that on my list as well. I've got to get that thumb drive ready. Thank you, Beverly, for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So in our last few minutes, should we go through a list of items here?
Yes.
Okay.
I like your lists.
Okay. I've got a huge list, and we may not be able to do it here in the next 3 minutes. But obviously your basics, which everybody should have regardless of the situation. Jumper cables. You should have water in there, whether it be just a couple of liters in there or a couple of gallons in there. Of course,
first aid kits.
Check your spare. Make sure it's inflated and it works. Yes. Make sure you have all the tools. Like when you buy a used vehicle, sometimes you'll open it up and the jack won't be there, or the wrench won't be there, and when you need it most, you realize it's not there, and then you're in trouble. That's happened to me before.
Or they could have, rusted, or something could happen that it's no longer
it's not functioning. Like the scissor jack isn't working right. It got bent. It's not. Yeah, absolutely. So practice.
Check and test and practice. Additional tools.
Yeah,
right?
Additional tools. And hopefully you've had your car long enough, you know what goes wrong with it, and you know how to fix it.
Yep.
Have those tools, maybe some spare parts in there as well. And it's obviously when we go off-road, there's certain things that you can break.
Yep.
So I carry some spare parts in there, like U-joints and so forth, that I can fix in a pinch if I end up breaking them off-road. Excuse me.
Blankets.
Woo! Yep, absolutely. Blankets.
Good wool blanket.
No excuse not to have blankets in there all year round.
And you don't even have to have it all folded up nice. You can just lay it out flat and put everything else on it, and then it's out of the way. And
you can use it to carry things in, and you can use it to keep yourself warm. You can use it to work on your vehicle.
Well, and if you have to abandon your vehicle, you can use it to carry off stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But you can also use your seat covers and repurpose those, and your seat belts and repurpose those to create pouches and things you can carry off whatever you need to carry off.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use your battery to start fires.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So I'd like to have some way to air tire. So a little cheap, crappy 12-volt air compressor. Mm-hmm. They work really well. They're $20.
It's slow, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Chains. If you only have front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, have some chains for your vehicle in your car.
And the Fix-A-Flat. I love the Fix-A-Flat.
Can a Fix-A-Flat, absolutely. I always have a tow strap not a chain, not a cable, but a tow strap that's rated for your vehicle. That it's called a snatch strap, where you can jerk the vehicle. It's not going to tear the strap, but you can create some momentum and recover a vehicle. So tow strap, very important. Let's see, you got a long list here. Flares, obviously, lots of uses for flares. In addition to signaling, you can light your spare tire on fire to create a signal smoke. Let's see, what else here? Gloves.
Good gloves.
That's a nice leather glove work. Mechanics gloves. I love mechanics gloves. We talked about communications, ham radio.
I like to also have an extra set of shoes, boots in the winter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I also like to have a backup jacket and a poncho. Hand warmers and feet warmers. I keep those under the seats. They're easy to find. They're always there.
Here's a little rescue tool, something that can attach to your seat belt or your visor that you can use to break the window in case you find yourself in water, or a way to escape the glass. If your windows won't roll down or anything like that. So, exactly, self-rescue. Let's see what else. Of course, fire extinguisher. That's we're out of time.
Oh man,
dang it,
man! I wish we had another 20 minutes. This has been a fun show. Thanks for calling in, you guys. Mike and Beverly, awesome content. Shane, thanks for being here as usual.
Oh, yeah.
We'll miss you guys next week, but we'll be back, so stay tuned. You've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio at K-Talk AM 1640.